Hello and welcome to this review of my Cross Townsend fountain pen. This is a modern fountain pen that I picked up about a year and a half ago in Colorado at an antique mall for about $10. This is a modern lineup from Cross. You can still buy these pens today. However, this is the lower end model of the Townsend. The Townsend pen comes in a variety of different models. I haven't done my homework, to be honest, so I believe it comes with a gold nib. They have ones in different shades of lacquer. Some come in black, some come in different variants. The variant I have is silver with a steel gold-plated nib. I'm going to tell you about the pen, tell you what I think is good about the pen, tell you what I don't like about the pen, and then I'll go ahead and do a little bit of writing with it. First things first, this pen is heavy. To show you what I mean, let's go ahead and weigh some fairly big pens that I have in my collection. So the Parker Duofold Red, Big Red, comes in at 24 grams. A Mont Blanc 149, it's a pretty big pen. Let's see how much that comes in at. 31 grams. Now let's go ahead and weigh the Cross Townsend. 44 grams. I mean, holy f***. The reason for this weight is due to the construction of the pen. This pen is made entirely out of metal. You can see here inside that the whole barrel is made out of metal. At the end you have a big giant hunk of metal, probably I believe stainless steel at the very end. And same with the cap at the very top. This is all just solid metal, this piece right here. And again, it's made out of the same material as the rest of the pen. The grip section is made out of plastic, however, but the rest of the pen is metal, as you can see. This pen is so heavy it could double as a weapon. If you throw this at someone, you're going to knock them out. So aside from the lethality of this pen, let's actually talk about more relevant pieces of it. It's a very plain design, as you can see. Let's take a look at the cap. As I said before, the cap has a little metal bit right here. Now for the clip, it's springy, but it's not too tight. It's a very nice tightness. So the cap band has a very nice, smooth, rounded edge to it. And then the rest of the barrel just starts to taper very slowly to the very end of the back end of the pen right here. Speaking of the back end of the pen, you have this little black ring which sticks out a little bit. That's deliberate because let's open up the pen. In the cap, you see a little white inner cap right here. That's actually made out of plastic. That plastic bit is what helps keep the pen capped and also is what grabs onto this little plastic ring on the back of the pen to post it. Now, for posting this pen, some Cross Townsends actually snap posted. This one just kind of slides on. This inner cap also grabs onto this part of the grip section which protrudes out, and when you're capping it, I feel resistance right here, and it snaps shut right there. I won't go over my biases against using slip caps in these inner caps because over time these tend to wear out and loosen up, and trying to replace them can get a little tricky and expensive. The grip section is very nice. I like how it very cleanly transitions from the barrel of the pen to the grip section right here, and it tapers very slightly. And there is a little bit of a lip between these two pieces, but it's not very noticeable. This is a steel nib plated in 14 karat gold, or at least it was until I polished it. I didn't know if this nib initially when I got it was gold or not, and as it turns out it was a steel nib. That said, this nib writes very smoothly. Here's the feed. It's just a simple plastic feed, which does a very good job of controlling the ink flow. And again, you can see a little bit of pitting in here. I put this into my ultrasonic, which was maybe a mistake because it started to get away at the gold plating on here. Cross does offer these pens in 18 karat and I believe 14 karat gold variants. Some of them are even two-tone in between these little crevices right here. It's a very nice nib, I'll be honest. It's a very nicely made nib, and it writes very well. For the rest of the cap, while I have a close-up, it just says Cross right here. And the rest of the clip is as such. I like how it arches up a little bit so it can fit in a pocket very practically. The rest of the barrel is just very plain with this lacquered silver finish on it. And again, like I showed you, just a very plain end cap right there. Very simple. One thing I forgot to mention is the cap. On the cap it says Cross. It's going to be pretty difficult to see and make out, but it's just engraved in there. And it says Made in USA right down there. Again, I do apologize if it's hard to read, but just take my word, it's right there. And again, here's the inside of the cap. Here's a better look at it. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the pen. So this pen will take a cross converter or cross cartridges. As you can see, I have a converter right here, which works well enough. These are completely proprietary, unfortunately. You have to buy a cross converter. You cannot use a standard international converter or cartridge. They just simply will not fit. That said, though, you can pick these up pretty much anywhere. You can pick them up at most office supply stores. The converter, again, works well enough. You just push it in there, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now comes the question of, can you eyedropper fill this? And I mean, in principle, I guess you can, because it does thread in here, but it's not a tight fit. So I wouldn't recommend filling this entire barrel with ink for that reason, and also because this is metal and it could probably oxidize and corrode the metal inside, so I would just not even think about using this as an eyedropper. The other thing I noticed is this serial number on the inside of the grip section, which means something, I suppose. Alright, so enough talk. Let's go ahead and fill up the pen and do some writing with it. So I recently got a bottle of Cross. This is the new Cross red ink. I needed red ink. I haven't used it too much, so I can't tell you specifically how well this ink works. I can tell you, though, that the ink bottle design needs some work. As you can see here, this glue is not doing a very good job of holding on this bit. Let's go ahead and fill it up. Alright, so I'm going to be using standard binder paper, nothing special, no Clairefontaine, no Rhodia, just standard binder paper that I think we can all relate to. I'm going to post the pen. One thing about posting the pen is it's a little bit loose, I've noticed. So at least for this model, this is also another flaw of inner caps, is they have some give, so it's not a very secure posting. Same with when you cap it. It's not the biggest issue in the world, though. Posting this feels enormously heavy. The balance point of this pen should be, when you're posting it, should be at this point where the cap and the barrel meet, but if I even let it go, it just is extremely top heavy. It just wants to go there, so the balance point's probably somewhere like right around here. You can also write with it unposted, which is probably what I'll end up doing for this pen. Alright, let's do some writing. So, overall impressions, it's a very smooth nib. It might not sound like it, but it does write very smoothly, believe it or not. And when you're using a smooth paper like Rhodia or Clairefontaine, it's even better in terms of performance. Let's turn the nib upside down and see how well it does. As we can see, absolutely nothing, so that's not going to do it very well. So let's see if it does any flex. Now I do have to push pretty hard to get it to flex a little bit, but you can see a little bit of line variation right here. Let's look at wetness. Yeah, it's fairly wet, but it dries pretty quickly, unless you of course flex it like I did right over there. It does keep up very well. Very well. Let's turn it upside down and use the back end of the nib and see how well it writes. If there's any effect, which there is none at all whatsoever. So on my last video with my Waterman 54, like I showed you, you can get this kind of effect going. But unfortunately, you can't do it with this pen because the grip section gets in the way right here. So conclusions, what do I think about this pen? Well, it's a signature pen, I'll be honest. This is a very heavy pen, and because it's so heavy, it's very fatiguing to write with for long periods of time. That said, you'll see a lot of officials and government agents sign official documents using this pen. If I'm not mistaken, Barack Obama used a Cross Townsend to sign various documents. So it's a very iconic design. It's a neat pen to have in my collection, however, I'll be honest, I don't write with it very often. Anyhow, that's gonna do it for this review of my Cross Townsend, and coming up is a short sequence of me showing a closer view of this pen. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like it. If you want to see more pen reviews, go ahead and subscribe so you're updated, and let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching.